So as we dive in, let's go to our first one. It's from Andrew from Greenbrier. And he writes, I'll be turning 40 soon, and I have 2 kids, 12 and 8. I haven't invested in a 529 yet. When does it make sense to invest in a 529, or should I keep investing in an after-tax investment account? Andrew, great question. It's one we get all the time in a client meeting room. And I think the first place to start here, Janet, is when he asks, when does it make sense? Well, first thing we need to do is make sure Andrew is on track for his own financial independence.
Yeah, Andrew, I think you were positioning that as when does it make sense to do a 529 as opposed to non-qualified investments where it doesn't get any special tax treatment. But we would look at the question first of, are you on track for your retirement? Because here's the reality. When your children get to college age, if they do decide to attend college, then there are scholarships and grants, and we don't really want them to have to get student loans, but it is an option if they need to. When you get to retirement, there are no scholarships or grants or loans to get you through your retirement. And so we've got to be sure that you are on track financially. And many times, frankly, Scott, that's hard for us as parents to feel like we're putting ourselves before our children. But I'll tell you, it is actually putting your children first to be sure that your retirement is funded. I remember years ago having a conversation with, there were some parents in the room and their child was out in the lobby, and we were talking about, this wasn't relative to college education planning, but it was relative to their retirement over the kids' preferences. And I told the parents, I was like, seriously, if you guys would just stop going to Starbucks, like you would be on track for your retirement. And the mom laughed and she kind of flippantly said, well, tell that to the kid in the lobby. And so we got up and left the appointment and we went out and I got down. She was 11 years old. I got down where I was face to face with her and I said, hey, I have a question. When you get through school and you have your own place, you have 2 choices. Would you like, in the meantime, would you like to keep going to Starbucks, and then when you've got your own place and your mom and dad are ready to retire, they can move in with you? Or would you like to stop going to Starbucks and they can live at their place in retirement and you can live at your place? And she looked at her mom and said, Mom, we don't need to go to Starbucks anymore. I mean, just like that, it was done, and they thought it was going to be a big deal for the kids. So kind of the same thing on this college planning. Yes, we want you to be able to help your children, and we want you to be able to do that, but let's be sure that you're on track for your own retirement. So, Scott, let's talk about some details now on the 529.
Yeah, so I think for me, it is about 2 priorities. Do you want the tax benefits as far as which way to go here, whether you go the 529 route or you go the after-tax investment account? If you want the tax benefits, the 529 has a lot of those. So let's talk a little bit about how that works. And Andrew, you may be familiar with that because you seem pretty well versed in the 529. But when you say when it makes sense, for the rest of the audience and for Andrew, the tax benefits here, depending on the state you live in, and here in Arkansas, there is a $5,000 tax deduction per spouse. So for the household, you can get a $10,000 state income tax deduction for the contribution up to $10,000. So every dollar that you contribute into a 529 up to $10,000 if Andrew is married and files jointly would be tax deductible and help him out now. And then when those funds are withdrawn, if they're for qualified education expenses, they will be tax-free. So you have tax-deferred growth and tax-free withdrawals if they meet the qualified education expense. So if you know these dollars are going to be used for education, then certainly there is a huge advantage to going the 529 route. And there is more flexibility, Janet, these days in the 529 plan that there hasn't been since it's been around.
Yeah, so historically you've always been able to transfer an unused balance to other family members, and it doesn't just have to be siblings. The list is pretty long. Cousins, you name it, are on there. But what we like now that has been added in recent years is the ability to actually change this over and convert it to a Roth. You can't do it with, the full full amount, if you've really fully funded your 529, you have a lifetime limit on this rollover from a 529 to a Roth of $35,000. And in any given year, what you're able to do is whatever the maximum is for a Roth contribution in that year. So if like this year the maximum is $7,000, then that's what you're looking at on that cap currently. But this is a tremendous opportunity. If you talk about setting your children up for success, you've set aside money for their college expenses, and maybe they don't use it because they go to trade school, or maybe they don't use it because they got scholarships that fully covered everything. For whatever reason, if they don't utilize this, you have the ability to then take that $35,000 portion of it over time and set that aside as a Roth, and that is also setting them up for success in their retirement. Scott, when you think about the power of compound interest from the time that somebody is, let's say, 22 years old, so they're past college age and they decided they're not going to use the rest of this, then taking that amount of money between that age and the time that they retire is incredibly powerful. You've really given them a good foothold on retirement.
Another piece of flexibility in Arkansas, they actually changed the law a few years ago that you could use it for private school before college.
Yes.
So that would actually be another option for you. But being able to transfer to another beneficiary, being able to roll it into a Roth IRA, and being able to use it for more reasons certainly has made the 529 more attractive. But it doesn't have the range of flexibility that you would have in an after-tax investment account, because as you might understand there, you can use it for whatever. So you can use it for a down payment for the first house for the child. You can use it to purchase a car. Whatever you want to build savings up for your child, it would be there for them with no strings attached. Now, a lot of people will opt here for an UTMA, Uniform Transfer to Minors Act, sets up an account for minors to be able to become the owners of the investment account at the age of majority, which is in Arkansas 21 years old. I'm not the biggest fan of that, because when you do hand those dollars over to them, you have no control of it anymore.
I mean, if they want to go, backpacking through Europe, then that's what they're going to do. And I, by the way, I did that for one summer, but it was on my dime, Right. So there's a lot to be learned there, but I don't think that most parents want to have the money utilized in that way. Yeah,
so I think there are some choices here for you, Andrew, but I do think the best tax advantage is the 529. Certainly recommend sitting down with an advisor, building your plan for financial independence, and then see how contributions to a 529 or to an after-tax investment account might fit into that for your children. It's great that you're thinking about it, and if they're 12 and 8, you've still got some time to get some growth on those dollars, and they should be invested in different ways, by the way, for the 12 and the 8-year-old because of the time horizon there.